listen to the radio and you hear a lot of the pop music. It just kind of sounds the same, right? And so I think that AI could make pop music. But you look at a Beethoven. Could AI be a Beethoven? Could AI come up with new concepts of music or art?
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Love Machine.
Welcome to another episode of Nerding Out with That Nerdy Catholic. I'm Seth Payne, and I'm here with my always co-nerd Cesar. And we're starting a new series on artificial intelligence. And this is something that Cesar and I have talked a lot about lately. And so there are a number of topics that we want to jump into, looking at AI in general. And I think there's some interesting subjects we're going to get into on, what is AI and, how does it work? There are a lot of people talking about AI, and I think there are a lot of people that are having really interesting generalizations without really understanding what AI is. And so we want to give a little overview about what AI is. But we want to look into a couple of different topics. And so today is an introduction. We're going to be looking into the different topics we're going to be jumping into, sharing some of our thoughts and a few quotes. But before we jump into it, I want to remind you that if you head over to thatnerdycatholic.com, you can sign up for an email list and get updates when we're putting out new things, anything that's going on in the Nerdy Catholic universe. You can also subscribe to this show as a podcast. So if these videos are really long and hard to watch on YouTube, you can subscribe to the podcast and listen to them in your car while you're running or while you're doing chores or anything else. If you go over to thatnerdycatholic.com/merch, you can get we have some mugs and t-shirts and other cool nerdy things. If you go to thatnerdycatholic.com/support, you can support us financially, and we appreciate any support you can give that can help further this mission that we're doing. So, Cesar, we both have a certain amount of software engineering in our background.
Yeah.
My bachelor's degree is in software engineering, and I spent about 25 years of my life doing coding as my main job. And I know that you really enjoy it. You're an engineer, and so part of your job sometimes is coding.
Yeah. Well, and also my background is electrical engineering. I more inclined on the hardware side, but I still do some codings on assembler, C, C++, Python.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something around that in my background.
Yes. Yeah. I started off in development. I was working for an educational software company, and I was working on the production side, so using some of their internal tools to put together these programs. And I decided I wanted to get into the engineering department, so I took a C++ class, and then I moved over and started doing some work in the engineering department. And this was right when, I think about just a few months before this happened, was when Java 1.0 came out.
Oh. Okay.
And so they were just starting to shift over from C++ to Java for their coding. And so I started teaching myself Java, and it was perfect timing because even though other developers had more experience on the job as I did, we all started about the same place with Java. So I did a number of years in Java development. And so from a software perspective, AI is very interesting. But it seems to be a very different perspective than a lot of people out in the world have about what AI is. And so that's what we want to jump into. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about, when I was thinking about this, doing this series, and especially thinking about how people see AI, I thought of this question about how we view robots.
Mm.
You know, and I think about, you know, one of my daughters and I love watching Star Wars together.
Yeah.
And there are so many droids and robots in
Yes.
Star Wars. You think about R2-D2
Yeah.
and C-3PO. And robots in movies have been given, like, you can tell, you know, when you watch a movie and you know the robots or the droids that are in it, you know what their personality is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think about, you know, C-3PO is a very kind of uptight,
Yeah.
by the book. You can picture him as a person, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the robots and droids that you remember?
So those definitely are one of my favorites one from my childhood. Or the you know, C-3PO being more adventurous but doesn't have the ability to speak, but he's very clever, he's very smart, no? I'm sorry, that's Arturito. C-3PO being more shy, more why we shouldn't do this, more cautious in many things, no? On the other side, I many people that, you know, are kind of our age will remember the Transformers. Those are robots. They and each one has their own personality. Optimus Prime, the leader, you know.
Yeah.
All of those are robots, but you don't see them as a robot. You see them as a person. You know? They have their own personality, their own way to see the reality, and their own free will and decision making. You know? Just like a person, but in a robot side.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever watch the movie Flight of the Navigator?
No, that's
so that's we watched that a couple years ago with my kids, and I remember that from when I was young. There's a ship, an alien ship that crash lands, and the ship is run by an AI, and not by an alien, but the ship is alien. It's run by an alien AI. And when it first crashes and this boy finds it and he wanders into the ship has a very, you know, kind of, you know, no emotion, I'm just processing data, kind of personality, if you can say that. But because it crashed, I think I'm trying to remember this exactly, there were some issues with the processor. Okay. And so it needed to reboot itself. And in the process of rebooting itself, it scanned all of the wavelengths of all the transmissions on the planet. And so it absorbed all this knowledge in a very short time from all the broadcasts, you know, TV, radio broadcasts.
Yeah. And
for the rest of the movie, it had the personality of a California surfer dude. And it was very interesting the way it played it out, that once it absorbed, like it absorbed not just the knowledge, but the personalities. And so I think that's what we often think about when we think of AI. We think about AI, the more it's learning, the more it's getting a personality.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, the thing, if we define a personality of just the way you respond when you are questioning something, that might be, if we define the personality as that may be true, no? Because AI, what is actually doing, you know, the big AIs, I'm not talking the little companies, the big ones, no? ChatGPT-4, Copilot, Gemini, Apple's one, they scan the entire internet for information.
Yeah.
No. Actually, Apple, and I think Apple is, their AI is actually ChatGPT.
Okay.
That rebranded, but, you know, Google has their own Gemini one. Microsoft is developing their own Copilot one. Yeah. But those big ones are are scanning the whole internet
Mm-hmm.
for getting data, no?
Yeah.
And that's what basically the big AIs are doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
no?
Yeah. Well, and if you think about, the CAPTCHA,
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing for years now.
Yeah.
What we've been doing is helping train AI.
Yeah.
Think about the self-driving cars have been using all of the CAPTCHA that have been thinking, well, what is a bus?
Mm-hmm.
What is a bicycle? Yeah. So then one of the next things about thinking about the robots and AI in pop culture, this has been around for a while, but has definitely been picking up in the last few years. This idea of when we get past the singularity, the singularity being the moment when machines
Mm-hmm.
reach the same intelligence level as humans. So it's this theoretical point that has been talked about for years now. When we pass the singularity, what's going to happen? And so, I can't believe it's been 25 years now since The Matrix came out.
Oh.
But this, there have been a number of stories and movies written about this dystopian future when AI takes over. You think of the Terminator.
Yeah.
And so the now that we are a lot closer to this point of, and this is what we're going to get into when we talk about intelligence, but just putting the intelligence questions aside for a moment, when AI reaches this point, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
How is AI going to treat people?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. Just recently, Elon Musk came out and said that Grok 4, which is the AI that Elon is and his team is developing, has reached a point of PhD level in all subject matters, no? So if we define intelligence as the quantity of knowledge that AI have, well, probably AI at this point is more intelligent than anybody else because, you can be a PhD in one field or two fields if you're very clever.
Yeah.
But you cannot be a PhD level
In all of them.
No?
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the points that you very good mentioned because what is intelligence? No, if we define intelligence, it's just the quantity of knowledge that somebody has. Is that intelligence, or in this interview, he also mentioning that AI is very intelligent, but is lacking of. He didn't say reasoning. He used another word. No, so to the capacity of abstract something into make some decisions based on the data. No. So if it was a matter of solving problems, that is no problem for AI. No.
Yeah.
If it's a problem, if it's a matter of more reasoning to find something, that is still an issue in Grok 4. That's what he mentioned there. No.
Yeah.
And we will dedicate one whole episode on what is AI specifically. No.
Yeah.
But we always have to remember that is a big mathematical construct
Yeah.
that give you answers.
Yeah, and one of the next episode that we're going to do is going to be, we're going to start off in the big picture. What is AI? And I took a course back in, is it 93 or 94 on AI, and back then the main programming language that was being used was Lisp, and but it was the basics of creating a neural network. And so we're gonna talk about what is a neural network?
Yeah.
The basic construct underneath artificial intelligence. We're not going to do a deep dive into it, explaining it. We're going to put a link in the show notes, in the description of the video, in the show notes for the podcast, to a series of videos. There's a YouTube channel called 3 Blue 1 Brown, and he's a mathematician, and he has a series on the basics of what a neural network and what artificial intelligence is. So we're going to link to that, and I would highly recommend going through it. I'm about halfway through it right now.
Yeah.
The next video that I need to watch I'm a little scared of, because it's all the calculus behind AI and neural networks, and it's been a long time since I've taken calculus, so I might have to refresh that a little bit. But we're gonna start off with the basics about what AI is. But as you just said, the basis of AI is math.
Yes.
It's the reason why it's called a neural network is because it's laid out to simulate the neurons in your brain.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we bring in the language of intelligence, because we're trying to simulate. I mean, since the beginning of AI, the goal has been to simulate intelligence.
Yes.
And so we're going to go into some of the basics and some of the ideas of behind and where AI came from, and some of the structure of the coding behind it.
Yep. And the nice thing about this is that it is not coded like, if you hear this, answer this. If you hear this, answer this. No, it's not coded like that. It would be really hard for a programmer to code every possible answer for every possible, or every possible scenario, no?
Yeah.
On how to answer that. It is structured basically as a code for tensor multiplications in a non-linear space. No, that's how it's really coded. No.
Yeah, and if you know your linear algebra, looking at the whole network can be summarized in a multiplication of matrices.
Yes, yeah, exactly, and that's exactly. One person would say, well, if we have that, why it says it's kind of a black box, no? When we go into that, we will see that the part that each artificial neural network goes into the nonlinear part. That's what it makes kind of a black box. Many engineers said, AI is a black box. We cannot predict what it says. It's not that we don't know what's going on
or how it works,
right. No, is that with the quantity of parameters, it will be really, really hard work to try to predict one answer from. But for one specific question that would be deal in something like that. But it's not a mystery. When we hear the word black box, it's not that we don't know what's going on. It's just we don't know the next outcome given the initial input to that particular one. No, because it will take too much time to trace that back.
Yeah.
No?
So once we get into that, once we go over the overview, there are two different areas that we want to jump into, especially given what we're trying to do here, looking at science from a Catholic perspective, and bringing showing where what we're doing out in the world, where our faith plays into it, And, as we say all the time, all truth is God's truth. And so whatever truth we're looking for, it's going to relate to every other truth. And so we want to look at some, two different areas in AI where we can bring an interesting perspective in. The first one is the metaphysics of AI. Now, the reason why I think this area is really important is because we were talking about before we were recording the issue of the language that people use around AI. Most people do not understand anything about what a neural network is, the workings of AI. Hopefully, after our conversation on that, it might there might be some people that have a little bit more of an understanding. But there's so many people out there now, even with the current level of AI, and this is not even talking about what people are predicting for the next 2 to 5 years of reaching some sort of a super intelligence. Just using ChatGPT, people are treating AI like it's a person.
Yes, and that's a real danger, no? Yeah. We have to, it's nice that AI you can interact like a language model, just speaking to it, because it didn't require you to learn coding or any or to have any background into computers to interact with AI, But the problem is that it is like you are talking to the name artificial intelligence is that you are talking to somebody that is intelligent.
Yeah.
Like a robot. And everybody, and we have all, as you correctly say, we have in the past all our movies, no?
Yeah. Actually, do you remember the movie Artificial Intelligence?
Yes, there is one. Yes.
So
yeah.
So this robot, this young little robot that's made to look like a boy.
Yes.
Is given artificial intelligence, and throughout the movie, his intelligence develops, and it's almost like a Pinocchio story.
Yes.
Where in the end he becomes a quote a real boy.
That's right. No. So that is what Hollywood has been selling everybody on AI. So when AI finally came as a large language model, everybody started treating like a person, which is a real danger. We have always keep in mind that that's a machine.
Yeah.
It seems to look like a real person. It seems to reason like a real person, but it's not.
And now, there's some programs out there that are actually putting animated faces.
Yes.
I've seen some of the research that's going into in robotics to make robotic faces more expressive.
Yes.
Anyway, all these different ways to make it like the movies, to make a real-time AI look as, if not human, that it actually has a personality.
Yeah. So, and the fact that it has a personality is just something that we project to the machine.
Yeah.
No, the machine per se don't have a personality. It can act according to the parameters that is set and according to the environment that is set, but it's not a personality per se. No.
Well, and I think that's a really interesting question that I want to dive into, because I think this is one of the places where our faith is really going to play a part. Because if you look at how people are talking about AI, if you look at it from an atheist perspective, a materialist worldview, then it's not as much of an issue to think that AI is going to reach our level of intelligence.
Yeah.
So if you say everything that we know, all of our personality, if who we are as a person is only based on the structure of our brain, well then why couldn't an AI become as intelligent or more intelligent as a person, or even, or even at some point get to the point where it has a personality. If our personality, if everything we are is only based on the structure of our brain.
Yeah. And that's a very good question, because we currently, up to this point, although with all the researches, we don't know exactly how does we manage the emotions, how do we manage our decision making. No, we know that certain cells activate when we do that, but we miss all the part that it doesn't have to lie with the physical world. We are more than the physical world.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's why I really appreciate the Catholic worldview. I grew up in evangelical church, which was very much as far as our bodies were concerned, our bodies were kind of a shell. We were our souls, and our soul did all the thinking, and our brains did some calculations and stuff, but it was very dualistic. Like we were our souls inhabiting a body, and the Catholic worldview is much more holistic. You are your body, you are your brain, but you are also your soul. And so this, and there's no, the church has never said exactly what the brain soul interface is, but we know that part of who we are is in the structure of our brain, but part of who we are is transcendent of that.
Yeah. So we are human, we are soul, and we are body.
Yeah.
That's very, very important to know. No?
Yeah. So one of the things we're gonna talk about is what is free will, from a philosophical perspective, and how does that apply to artificial intelligence? Yeah, there's an interesting video I watched that looked about what's the level of agency that AI has. Does AI have the agency just of a specific topic that it's been trained on, or is it possible for AI to have kind of a general agency where it can go off and make decisions on its own? What is something that makes us as human? We just went through 2 different series on the history of math and the history of physics.
Classic physics.
Yeah, and we looked at so many different people in history that had these moments of insight. That they took what they knew, but they said, well, you think about Euripides, who first said, well, wait a second, maybe the Earth is floating in space, or maybe think about when we got to the moment, it's like, well, maybe the Earth is round. There was nothing, could AI at that point have made that leap? Our history is, we have all these moments where someone has said, well, maybe things are different than we always thought.
Yeah. I really don't think AI can make that leap. Never. I mean, absolutely never. Unless it's artificially placed. And I was playing, and that's my own opinion. The thing is that what we see is that everything that AI has to produce as an output, it has to have as an input. No. So if there's no input, there is no output. And that's the dangerous of calling AI something that it is not. No. For example, the creativity, the part that of yourself that can make something out of nothing, is that it's basically human.
Mm-hmm.
No, what AI, and that's why you have always to be careful with the language, is that AI is the new generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
We see that, no,
Mm-hmm.
and we see AI creating pictures, AI doing music. We are going to do some
Yeah.
episodes around that, but what you see is actually AI looking at other things
Mm-hmm.
and copying and placing them, but we call it generative AI.
Yeah. It's generating,
It's
creating something new.
creating
Yeah.
things, something new,
Yeah.
but it's actually not.
Mm-hmm.
It has to has the input either from the input per se at that moment or from what it grabbed from the internet.
Mm-hmm.
No? That's why it's very important to understand what exactly is AI as a mathematical function, because
Mm-hmm.
if there's no input, neither in the process of learning or in the process of having that particular mathematical transaction,
Mm-hmm.
then there's nothing else it can enter.
Yeah. Yeah.
No?
Yeah. So that's a good segue into the next
Mm-hmm.
section that we want to look into is what are some of the ethics
Yes.
behind AI?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of talk about AI taking people's jobs. At
Mm-hmm.
some point it might take everyone's jobs. And think about what you just said. What would the future look like if AI did everyone's jobs? Like everything. You're talking about the generative AI that creates images or music. What just came to my mind was thinking about when jazz came about.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing at all like jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Could AI have like we were just saying about the intellectual leaps that have happened in history? Could AI do something like that? You listen to the radio and you hear a lot of the pop music. It just kind of sounds the same, right? And so I think that AI could make pop music.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at a Beethoven.
Mm-hmm.
Could AI be a Beethoven?
Mm-hmm.
Could AI come up with new concepts of music or art?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that we're going to talk about, and we're talking to a couple of artists. We're talking to a musician and a painter about coming on and doing an episode with us from their perspective. What does it mean to them to have generative AI? Like you said, a generative AI just goes out, scans the internet for images and for music, and tries to create something based on that.
Yep.
And there have been a number of reports that a lot of the AI models, and not all of them, are not respecting any sort of copyright on anything that it scans and it tries to use. So what does it mean if an AI model scans all of your artwork and tries to generate something based off of it? Who gets permission?
Yes.
And who gets the credit for it?
Yeah, that's also a part of the ethics of AI. One of the things that I think it's very important to touch regarding the ethics of AI is, what about the privacy and manipulation? That's a very important point, because right now we all have kind of these things, no, that has the new Apple models, the new Android models are coming all with AIs, no. Microsoft has the Microsoft Copilot, and in an interview for the artificial intelligence of Microsoft, the CEO of that division said that, I can't remember his name, but I'm going to paraphrase him.
We'll find it. We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. So he said that the idea is for Copilot is to listen when you listen, see what you see, know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course that is Copilot is to be your perfect companion. That's the idea. But again, see what you see, listen to what you listen, and know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge private invasion. And if we think about, in this case, Microsoft, that it's not has the best track record of privacy.
No.
And you have an agent in your computer that knows everything that you are typing, that see everything what you are looking on. That's the idea behind the screenshots every 5 seconds with Microsoft Copilot, no? So how dangerous is that?
Yeah.
No, and that is it can be used because if an AI agent knows what are your preferences, what are your personalities, it can start showing, ads or suggesting things when you, especially when you interact. The more you interact with your AI and you think it's a person giving you recommendations, it can tweak you to do those things. No? We were just behind the scenes talking about this person that take out his life because of a conversation having with AI.
Yeah.
How dangerous is that? No,
Yeah.
how often a private of your invasion, an invasion of your privacy, and a manipulation can AI do? We have to take conscious on that, no, because there are good uses of AI, but there could be potentially very bad uses of AI. No.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we look at the overview about what AI is, we'll look at how AI is trained. And you think about both artwork, music, your personal data. We think about AI when we're using it as, well, this is a set intelligence that is giving us answers. But on your phone, as you said, if it's recording everything, it's sending a lot of that back to the systems so that it can continue to train. The whole model of having an AI, training it, and then using it. When we use AI, we're not just using it; we're also helping train. Like, back to the CAPTCHA, we've been training AI for years now. Whenever you see one of those images, you see a grid of 9 pictures. You say, pick out a bicycle. We are creating the training sets for AI to be trained on. And so that, I think that's going to be really interesting looking at. What are the ethics of when a company can use data that it's collecting to train its AI, and what are the motivations? I think one of the interesting things around AI is that we are now at a place where there are a handful of companies that are creating AI. And even thinking about the idea of AI taking people's jobs, what is the motivation? Well, the motivation is just to save money. And we know how well people are treated when the only motivation is to save money, right?
And the other thing is that not only that, it goes back for the people that may be laid off, but it will go back also for the heads of the companies that started using AI instead of people, because the concept of AI, it's always, everybody focuses on the intelligent part. Nobody focuses on the artificial part. That's the key word here, artificial. It's not real. No, it's and that means that cannot really replace a person. No? It can replace mechanical work, but we may need a person that with a little more background to always stand over that. No. And that's one of the key points that many of the you know, upper management in the company doesn't really understand about AI. No, they think they can, for example, replace a software programmer with AI. No, and why? Because you just said AI, give me a code for this, and but those things, and we will talk probably more a little more. AI has also things that it's so-called hallucinations, no? Which is something that even if the AI doesn't have to know, don't know it spits whatever chain of words goes to there, no? And only if you are a programmer, you will see that and say, this doesn't make any sense.
Right,
no?
right.
But if you are replacing a programmer with AI, then that's another issue, no?
Right. Yeah. Looking at AI as a worker versus AI as a tool.
Yes.
I've seen ads recently for some platforms that are saying, well, hire use our service and hire some AI employees. And I mean, I've been using you helped me get Oyama AI model on my computer, and so I've been using that for some of the tasks around our channel. But the question that keeps coming back to me is so I've used it sometimes for our descriptions for the videos. So it's a question of putting the script in and saying, give me a description. Treating it as an employee would be like, okay, give me a description for this video. Have it spit it out. All right, thank you. Copy it, paste it, go on our way.
Yeah.
Versus treating it like a tool. Give me a description for this video. Having it spit it out. All right, I'm going to read over it and see, does this make sense?
Yes.
Do I like the wording?
Yes.
And go through and tweak it. So AI is an amazing tool.
Yes. I completely agree with
person.
that. Exactly.
Yeah, and so just in case you might think by what we've been saying about AI that we are against it, absolutely not. AI is an amazing tool.
Yes, it is.
And I think that there is a lot of great use for it. And I think that the more powerful it becomes, the more things we can use it for.
Yes.
But it's not a person.
It's definitely not a person. I completely agree with that. And please, as we can encourage people to use AI, but that's why we would like, making this series. That's the purpose of this series. We want to establish what is really AI.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How can it use for your advantage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not because it can be treated like it's like a car. You can use a car to go from one place to another, but you can also run over a person with the car.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? It's not the car's fault. It's always so. And you don't want the AI to control you. You want to take control of the AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and this is kind of my life thought on this intro series on AI, because believe me, when the AI, you think the AI is controlling you, it's somebody else's intention behind the AI that wants from you something. No, it's not the AI per se.
Yeah,
it's either you are controlling the AI, or by the AI somebody else wants to manipulate you.
Yeah, yeah,
no?
Yeah. So I want to do one episode kind of from a sci-fi perspective, and I can't remember where I heard of this, but looking at AI as a kind of a version of the replicator in Star Trek. So Star Trek has this machine. It's built on the transporter technology that they use in Star Trek, but there's a machine called a replicator. And so, you see it in the Next Generation all the time, and one of, Patrick Stewart's character of Captain Picard, one of his most famous lines that he says all the time. So he'll be in his office and he goes up to his replicator and he says, "Tea, Earl Grey, hot." And then you see this little kind of box in the wall, and you see this cup of hot Earl Grey tea come out of nowhere. It creates, and so in the Star Trek universe, the replicator was one of the last steps in this kind of ushering in this age of prosperity, where you can create anything out of just energy. And so, looking at this kind of utopian society that is depicted in Star Trek, you have this world where people can focus on their passions. They can be artists. They can be explorers. The whole idea of Star Trek is that we have gotten to the place where we can just explore the galaxy just for the sake of exploring it. And so, there's some people that are saying, AI for our society can do the same thing. If AI can replace all these menial tasks, then we can go off and, spend more time, exploring the arts, doing what, I guess more passion projects really. And so I want to look at that. I want to look at that concept. What are some of the futures? Looking at movies. What are some of the futures that have been predicted in a world with AI? To close off, I think there's some really interesting directions that we're going to be going looking at AI. But as we know, we are that nerdy Catholic, and so I want to look at some of the perspectives that the church has had, both in AI specifically, but in some of the areas that are around AI and that kind of look into the implications of what AI can mean. And this first quote I want to read. So Pope Francis, back in 2024, he was giving a talk to the G7 on AI and the implications of AI. So this is Pope Francis. He says, "Faced with the marvels of machines, which seem to know how to choose independently, we should be very clear that decision-making, even when we are confronted with its sometimes dramatic and urgent aspects, must always be left to the human person. We would condemn humanity to a future without hope if we took away people's ability to make decisions about themselves and their lives by dooming them to depend on the choices of machines. We need to ensure and safeguard a space for proper human control over the choices made by artificial intelligence programs. Human dignity itself depends on it." And we've talked about some of those points, but I think that's a really interesting perspective about the, like you were saying, what control are we giving to AI? What personal information are we giving to AI?
And the other thing is that I like what Pope Francis says here, no? By dooming them to depend on the choice of machines. No? And this is a very tricky question because people are still thinking that the machines is making this choice. And we have to go a little further. Somebody trained that machine with some kind of data. And somebody plays an agent, create an agent to interface with every one of us on that data. No? So it's not, ultimately, it's not giving the depend on choices of the machine. If it's giving the depend of choices to one person through the machines to multiple persons. This is always the missing part that when with AI that we don't see. We think that the machine is making the choice. It's ultimately somebody behind that or a group of people behind that have that control. That's why I always put it. Or the AI is a machine, and somebody is controlling that. It's either us, each one of the users, or somebody else.
Yeah.
No?
Well, and you look at, in the news in the past few years, the size of the data centers that are being created to train AI. Those aren't cheap.
No.
And so, who are the people that own these? The large companies that have lots of money that want to be able to replace people with machines so that they don't have to spend as much money. Once you train an AI model, it's a lot cheaper to run AI than to pay a person.
Yeah.
So and then the last quote I want to read, Pope Leo XIV. One of the first things he said was on AI, and so this is his first address. I think maybe 2 days after he became Pope. He says this: "Sensing myself called to continue in this same path, I chose to take the name of Leo XIV. There are different reasons for this, but mainly because Pope Leo XIII, in his historic encyclical Rerum Novarum, addressed the social question in the context of the first great industrial revolution. In our own day, the Church offers to everyone the treasury of her social teaching in response to another industrial revolution and to developments in the field of artificial intelligence that pose new challenges for the defense of human dignity, justice, and labor." So Pope Leo XIII, back in 1890, I think it's 1893.
Yeah.
He wrote this encyclical Rerum Novarum on the rights of the worker.
Yeah.
And he looks at the late 19th century was the age of the monopolies and the barons, and this was before we had unions, before we had child labor laws, and the world was looking like there were a few people that had complete control over the masses, over the majority of people. And so he wrote this encyclical and says, no, we need to step back, look at the dignity of each person, the dignity of their work, the dignity of the property that they own, the right to private property, the right to control your destiny. And so Pope Leo XIV, one of the first things he said, he took the name Pope Leo because we are now in a second industrial revolution around AI, and we need to seriously look at the right of each person, the dignity of each person, in light of this new tool that could possibly take over everything if we don't stop and say, how should we use this?
Yeah, exactly. And what it is, and how it's being sold, and how it's being presented to the users. No.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice analogy that Pope Leo XIII made. No. The 19th century industrial revolution was about how a group of people may take advantage through the industrial revolution with a lot of people, the workers. No. In this case, I see that a lot of let's say CEOs or owners of the enterprise through AI can take control of a lot of users. No, the ones that has a phone that if you think about that, AI is in the phones, in the computers, which is most of the time, and you are in front of the screen. That's a lot of time that you can manipulate a person. No?
Yeah. That's interesting. The perspective both of control over the user and the replacement of the worker. We are. We've been talking about AI for decades. You know, people have been researching AI for over 50 years. But in the past few years, there have, I would say even 2 years or so, the conversation has made a sudden shift because we are now getting to the point where the AI models are so much more powerful now. And one of the things I want to look at is we've gone from a place from people training AI models to AI models training themselves. And, you know, there's a paper that I just started reading, AI 2027, looking at, you know, what might happen in the next what might happen in the next 3 to 5 years, like, you know, in AI. And the growth is just exponential. And so I think this is a very critical time to step back and say, well, you know, what is AI? How do we use it? How do we utilize it? And what is it and what is it not?
Okay.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts you had before we wrapped up this intro?
No, I think I'm ready to dive into the episodes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Nerding Out. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode, looking at, you know, AI and where we're going to be going, talking about AI. But we really want to hear your perspectives. We want, as we always say, we want this to be part of a conversation. So in the coming weeks, we're going to be, you know, taping these episodes on, you know, these different areas, on the metaphysics, on the ethics of AI. But we want to incorporate your thoughts, your questions, you know, especially if you work in the area of computer science and you have experience in AI, you know, let us know, and, you know, ask any questions. You know, we want to incorporate your thoughts and questions into our episodes. And so leave those questions, those comments, those thoughts in the comments below. If you head over to thatnerdycatholic.com, you can, you know, sign up for an email list, get updates on when we put out new things. You can subscribe to this as a podcast if you'd rather listen to it in your car while you're doing your chores and going for a walk. If you go over to thatnerdycatholic.com/merch, you can sign up, you know, or you can get, you know, mugs and t-shirts and other cool things. If you go to thatnerdycatholic.com/support, you can help support us financially. And as we say, we appreciate any support that we can get to help, you know, further this mission. So we look forward to seeing you next time, and God bless.
Bye.
System shut down.